Hi, and welcome to Picardcast. As always, I'm Brooke. I am not, however, joined by Rebekah. She is off on a holo adventure. We do have our second in command, our number one, Neil.
Hello.
Hi, Neil. How are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Good. I'm good. And we are not alone. I know you wouldn't mind listening to just both of us, but I dragged my friend out of retirement. She has not done a podcast in a long time, but I got her to do this, and it's my friend Rachel. She's a River Song cosplayer like me. Yay!
Hey everyone. Thanks for having me.
So, I'm going to ask you a couple questions right now. How did you get into Star Trek?
I started watching Star Trek when I was a kid. I started with the animated series, and then I've kind of just hopped around. I've watched a lot of classic. I've watched most of the movies, and as of late, I've been watching Discovery as well as Picard.
Cool. What do you think so far about the episodes of Picard?
I think it's a really interesting balance, just because, you know, it is a property, and we are using characters that have been on prior iterations of the show. So it's kind of like, are they going to do a new story? Are they going to do nostalgia? And I think it's kind of struck a balance between both of those elements, especially with the last episode, which was like nostalgia central and, oh my God, Riker, please make me a pizza, and Troy, please solve all my life problems. Like, I want to live in the forest, in a cabin, and, you know, have pizza.
Okay, yeah. That pizza looked great. And also, Troy was like the best counseling that she's ever done because they were terrible at writing her most of the time.
Yeah, she was fabulous.
She was excellent.
And she was sassy to Picard.
And her wig was on point, which allegedly she stole from the last movie, and she just kept it.
I read that too.
It's hard to find good wigs.
Yep.
When you find one, girl, you better steal it.
Yeah.
So,
Picardcast does not condone stealing. But do it anyway. No, I'm kidding.
only if you're Deanna Troy, you're allowed.
So, we're here to talk about episode 8 of season 1. It's called Broken Pieces. It originally aired on March 12th, 2020. Like I said, just about every episode, it's just sort of exciting watching Picard in a year 2020. It was written by Michael Shambon, and it was directed by Maya Vervlo. I'm really sorry that I cannot pronounce your name, but
it's spelled really weird. It's like Favre.
Yeah, but you know, she's great at her job. I enjoyed the way this episode looked, but she's also done some other things, a lot of action-y stuff, but something I thought was funny, she's done Hawaii Five-0, MacGyver, Magnum P.I., Lethal Weapon, Rush Hour, Limitless, and SWAT. But all of those are the new versions of everything, or the TV versions of the movies. I don't know why, I just thought that was just amusing. It's like, hey, she got to do all this kind of stuff, and they're other known properties, just like Picard is.
Speaking of nostalgia.
Right? Like, she's full of, like, 70s and 80s nostalgia right there with all those things. In the first scene, we see nebulas, and it's really beautiful. We hear this voiceover, and at first I wasn't sure who it was because I was just sort of concentrating on the words that were being said, and then I realized, I know that voice. It was Commodore O. Well, we see her with all of these women in a circle. They're not facing each other, and, you know, she's telling the story about our foremothers, and basically it's the story about how the Zhat Vash became what it was. And these women are all there to see if they have what it takes to be one of the Zhat Vash. And they are wearing the most amazing, like, cape hooded things. It's got, like, leather and huge, awesome hoods. And I've got to make one because...
Yeah. Cosplay of the show. Legend.
I just want to wear it just to wear it.
Those hoods are incredible.
I have a tiny head, so I don't need that big of a hood. But, you know. Fine. So what they have their backs to is this green, it kind of looks like it's a rail and that you can look over and there's like a hole there, or like a rail around Old Faithful Geyser or something. And we find out that this is the admonition once they're exposed to it, they're either going to go completely insane, maybe kill themselves, or they'll be okay enough to actually become a member of the Zhat Vash. So, like, that's a pretty rough initiation process. I'm glad my sorority wasn't like that. But we find out one of the women is Narissa, formerly known as Rizzo, and Ramda, who, she is Narissa and Narek's aunt. What?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Right?
Out of nowhere.
Like, there was no hint of that, but that's okay.
Hmm.
Apparently, this admonition is a warning of something that happened in the past and that it's going to happen again if they're not careful. And, we know that it has to do with synthetic life forms because that's what the Zhat Vash is against. And that it's probably something really horrific because that's why they want to get rid of all the synths, because they don't want the robots to take over, basically. we like to talk about all the time. What was interesting to me is that they were talking about it was from a long extinct race, and it was from hundreds of thousands of years in the past. So, they're exposed to it. The only two that really survive is Ramda and Narissa that we know of, but because just about everyone, smacks a rock into their head and falls to the ground, so we assume that they've all died. Some lady's, clawing at her face. Another one shoots herself with her phaser. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and one thing before we go on, the visions, there's images that flash on the screen, and one of them is of Lieutenant Commander Arium from Discovery, who is an android, basically, in that show, and that morphs into Data's face. So I just thought it was interesting that they're really trying to tie the two series together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did not catch that, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch that for sure.
Yeah.
And then later on, when that vision reoccurs, you see her face again.
Nice. I know, when we were watching the trailers, I would do the pause to get everything, but I haven't done that with the episodes because it's a lot of stuff to write down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I'll be lazy. But yeah, we do get to see some of the vision. What?
I was just saying, there's a lot of imagery that happens in
thought
the
you
show.
said hello. I was like, oh, did you not hear me? You guys, just everything that's happened this week. If this is,
boy.
This is far in the future, just Google it. So Narissa goes over to O, and she's like, what are we going to do about this? And O basically tells her they're going to go to Mars. So confirming what we suspected, that Romulans had something to do with the attack on Mars, and we know that Rafi's going to be right, and that's exciting because she's awesome. That last scene was supposed to be 14 years ago, so, makes sense, the Mars thing. So the next scene is present Picard Day. Narissa is standing, it's like a hospital room, or Ramda is on a table. This seems to be after she's tried to attack Soji when she was calling her to the destroyer and stole somebody's phaser and all that. And we get a little exposition just from the one-sided conversation of Narissa talking to Ramda. We find out Ramda took care of Narissa and Narek when their parents died. We don't know how their parents died, or what age. She must have raised them to be incestuous or something, all of her V.C. Andrews books and stuff hanging around. I love making those jokes. I'm sorry, you guys. Neil, you had said something before.
Yeah, I was reading something. I forget where it was, but it was talking about how they originally had planned to have that be a Romulan thing, the incest, but the showrunners decided to pull back on that just because they thought it'd be a little too much. But that was going to be a common Romulan trait, was the incest, which is real interesting.
Yeah, no thank you. I didn't need that.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't really get into it as they had planned on doing.
Yeah, and it's just fun that she's kind of creepy because he's not really creepy back to her, so I just sort of like that.
He can only be creepy towards Soji, not back to his sister.
Right.
Yeah. although he looks like a slightly unshaven, probably doing some sort of drugs incarnation of Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock. as like a Romulan / Vulcan, whatever. And like every time he comes on screen, I'm like, man, Molly Hooper's gonna slap you.
It's like Benedict's Sherlock, and then his Frankenstein character from Penny Dreadful had some sort of mating ritual with Spock or an actual Romulan or something.
Exactly. There's
I don't know. I can't think of any Romulans' names right now that aren't in the show. So I went with Spock because Vulcans and Romulans are related far back. So whatever.
Yeah.
We just only wanted the eyebrows. That's the only bit we cared about. And the ears.
And the ears.
Because they don't like round ears. Another thing we get from Narissa is she doesn't think that Rhonda's exactly been sane this whole time anyway, but that she had gone crazy from all of the Jat Vash thing, and she was able to break the Borg cube that they're on with her despair. Like, holy moly. And
a lot of despair.
Right? No wonder she just, seemed like she was all over the place. And then she also brings up that they should have captured her ship instead of Rhonda's because she would have made a better Borg. Who says that? Anyway, Narissa, you're a card.
She's something else, isn't she?
She is. But she gets sends a message asking, if they found the freak, as she calls him, and that's Elnor, who they're talking about. He's not a freak. He's a very special boy. And, as the guys are replying back saying, that they found him, we see Elnor hiding on the Borg cube, and they're coming in, they're taking him. It looks like they're gonna handcuff him. They're trying to get him and everything and take him away or kill him. And all of a sudden, as all these guys are around him, a couple of them get pecked off because here is Seven, and she's shooting at him. And so it's enough that he can then start fighting back the other guys, and then they take them all down, and the cutest thing happens because once they're all been taken down, she's like, "Where's Hugh?" And instead of answering, Elnor just like grabs her in this great big bear hug, and he looks like he's so thankful that she's there. After that Q&A at C2E2 that he did with Isa Briones, it's like Eva Evagoria is just so adorable.
He really is. That panel was great. Those two actors are they're really fun human beings, it seems like.
Yeah, they were really cute. And I love that she said something about how Evan and Harry Treadway are just ridiculous when they get together. Narissa knew what happened, but she didn't know what happened. She didn't know what was happening at that moment, But she'll find out soon, because then she's like, "Oh, yeah, I know who that is." But it's really great whenever Elnor hugs Seven, because she's sort of taken aback from it at first, because she's not like super touchy-feely huggy, like it was real sweet when she was, sad about Icheb. When she was sad about that, that was really kind of touching, because she's not, she's usually kind of tough, so. But she actually tries to console Elnor, and she's like, "I'm here, it's okay." Pat, pat, pat. We have the title sequence then, and this is where I like to ask our people who are new on this, which everybody is new on this Picard show, what do you think about the intro, Rachel?
It's really modern. Thankfully they didn't go with the light pop opera angle that happened on Enterprise with the Russell Wilson song. Love him. My dad had his CD. That's why I knew what the song was.
That's so amazing.
But opera's okay. But I don't think of Star Trek when I think of opera. That's Star Wars, because that's space opera. Anyway, so yeah, it's I feel like it's trying to be kind of like the Discovery opening titles, which kind of ties into what Neil was saying about them trying to link the two shows. I mean, it feels lighter in tone, but we still have those kind of orchestral cues that we come to expect from Star Trek. So yeah, it's fine, I guess. Again,
you don't sound so sure about that.
I mean, it's not like Doctor Who or whatever, where you're just